Posts like this is why I don't take MCU discourse very seriously. For all of Phase
So yeah, go watch his video because I agree with everything he says, and I've been seeing this a lot with like. This is why I personally do not take discourse amongst fan bases that seriously, because it's all relatively reactionary. The reason why I say this is because a lot of it's not based in actual fact or detail or even like constructive criticism. It's all based in the identity of just like, I don't like it because I don't like it. Let me explain. MCU fans are mad that Phase 4 wasn't good, which I argue it actually was very good. Phase 4 dealt with the grief of all the heroes, dealing with the lasting effects of Thanos' snapping, or like just a blip in general, and how everyone affects everyone's lives. And we see that in WandaVision. We see how her losing vision affect her mentally, and her lust for a family and normal life, some level of normalcy, affects her in a much negative way, which led into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, because she's got obsessed with having this family to the point she was even going to steal it from someone else from the multiverse. And then also it hammers down like how people like Doctor Strange could be a detriment to reality, because hey, this motherfucker literally like was going to literally almost destroy the multiverse because Peter Parker couldn't keep his mouth shut. What would you expect from an anxious teenager? But that's none of this. These films, Phase 4's main storyline was dealing with grief and dealing with the aftermath of Avengers Endgame, as well as dealing with this new major threat that's growing in the background. And I noticed MCU fans were not happy about that. And I was wondering, like, Phase 4 has been pretty decent, pretty good so far. Some projects are better than others, but I think overall it was a good season. It was a good, like, phase. What's going on? And I learned something to myself. I actually figured this out. MCU fans are junkies. And what I mean by junkies is that MCU fans are chasing the high that Avengers Endgame and Infinity War left. Now, it doesn't mean that they're obsessed with these films. No, they could rewatch Infinity War Endgame and not feel the same way they did. What they're trying to do is get that same feeling they got when they went to see these films for the first time. If you remember how Infinity War felt watching the first time, that's what Avengers like fans are obsessed with. All these MCU fans are complaining, comparing movies to Avengers Endgame and Infinity War as if those type of films and movies are not needed to build a story like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. I bet all the money in my money, all my money, like I don't care how, whatever it is that, I don't care if it's under my mattress, all my money. In like 2027, when the Multiverse Saga finally closes its books, right? You're going to hear a bunch of people talk about how great Secret Wars was, how great Kang Dynasty was, and how it really came together in the end, and everyone was so excited, and how it built up so much, how Kang's the best villain in the world, he's better than Thanos, oh, Ant-Man Quantumania was actually good, Loki is actually good, She-Hulk is good, everyone shows good. You're going to hear that all in the next few years, because of the fact that MCU fans are very reactionary. But here's the thing. I'm going to teach you a little secret. Before I click this video, I'm going to explain something to you. This has happened before. See, for those new MCU fans who have not watched the films from the beginning, I'm going to teach you something that's really, really interesting. The discourse is not new. This discourse is the same discourse that Phase 2 had to deal with. Because what happened was, after the first Avenger movie broke box office records and stuff, fans were begging for another movie like that. And it's not because the Avengers movie was great or bad, doesn't matter. It's about the feeling they got seeing the heroes come together for the first time. So they were asking and crying, and even critics were crying and begging to have the Avengers literally hang out with each other every 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds throughout the movie, they hang, like, they wanted Avengers to be all up under each other because they wanted that same feeling they got from the Battle of the New York storyline. But they couldn't. Thor was doing his own thing with the ether. Captain America was fighting Bucky. Iron Man was dealing with the fake Mandarin. Like, and looking back, these films are now regarded as some of the best films in the world, and everyone's talking about how great it is. But back then, people talked about Phase 2 the same way they talk about Phase 4. This is why I tell people I do not care about fan bases opinions because it's all reactionary.